All right, my transmission is here. I picked it up from Rancho yesterday. Mike totally took care of me. It has a new 4th gear, new main shaft bearing, an entire new main shaft in the transmission. More importantly, it is ready to go back into the van. Last video, we replaced the clutch, and now we're gonna put this back into the van and hopefully be giving it a test drive by the end of the video. So let's get this baby into the van. My plan is to take these ratchet strap around it, and then slowly ratchet it up, put it into position, and push it onto the engine, bolt it to the engine, and then hopefully I can do everything else from there. We'll see, I don't know. Putting a transmission like this into the van by yourself is not really recommended and not really done. Everyone I've talked to has always had help, so I don't even know if I can do this by myself. Either way, we're gonna find out. Let's get cracking. So here is my apparatus. I have a ratchet strap here around the tip of the transmission in a kind of hoist fashion. The exact same way that I lowered it down, but this time I can actually ratchet it back up. And I have one back there near the back of the transmission as well. So I will shuffle back and forth, slowly ratcheting these up, bringing the transmission up slowly, and then hopefully putting it into the engine and the flywheel and the clutch. You can see here as I ratchet that up, I'm actually bringing the tip of the transmission upwards. So I'll do that back and forth until it goes all the way up there. So hopefully that'll work nicely. It seems to be working so far. I'm not even putting that much effort and I'm lifting the transmission, so. Of course, I have both ratchet straps holding up the ends of the transmission, and then I have 2 ratchet straps, one on this side and one on this side, connected to the rear of the van, pulling the transmission into the engine. You can see it kind of looks like a spider's web of ratchet straps under here. Mating the transmission to the engine is the hardest part of putting a transmission back into the car for the most part. And after many hours of finagling and doing the ratchet straps and all that kind of deal, I got to work and it made it up. We sneak up under here, you can see the transmission is now mated up to the adapter plate on the engine. So that transmission spline went into the clutch, and now we are all mated up. I just have to tighten all the bolts. There's one right there, and there's one up there all the way around. I'm installing a new high torque starter as well, because the old one sucked ass. And it's just gonna be a matter of buttoning everything up, putting the shifter back on, some wires, some sensors, the drive shafts, of course. We should be ready to roll. I also have to fill it up with oil. I really have to remember that. Yeah, we are getting there one step at a time. All right, so the rest of the installation was actually pretty boring. It was just putting small nuts and bolts in the sensors and plugging it in. Nothing too interesting. I actually finished putting in the transmission yesterday, and I would have had it running yesterday, but the starter wire for my new high torque starter broke whenever it got shipped to me. This is the little starter signal wire. This is what actually sends the signal to the starter to start cranking up the motor. And as you can see at the end, the plastic bit is broken. So Van Cafe sent me a brand new one that's broken shipping. Pretty easy replacement. So I got to throw this in the van, and then it is going to be ready for the first test drive. Also, those ratchet straps worked pretty well. I was kind of worried that I wouldn't be able to get the transmission back into the van by myself, because to get that shaft to go into the clutch and mate with the actual engine is pretty precise. And whenever you're working with a giant, very awkward transmission, it's kind of hard to lift it up and get it in precisely, especially by yourself. So using those ratchet straps on like every single direction, I had to like pull it one way, pull it the other way, pull it back, pull it forward, was kind of funny, but it ended up working. Might be a little janky, might be a little non-recommended, but it worked. So we're sailing from here, hopefully. God, hopefully. Alrighty, this should be pretty quick. The synchros are so tight under here, it's crazy. 2-wheel drive vans have the gas tank in the front, so there's a whole bunch of room, but the synchros have it back here. There's a gas tank and transmission back here. Alrighty, it should start. Make sure she's in neutral. In theory, I should be able to just start her on up. That did not go as planned. What in the world was that? It sounded like it kind of tried to start and the starter just started going, but it wasn't engaging with the flywheel. Oh man. And that was really weird. The starter just kept going and kept spinning, not engaging the flywheel, and me not with the key in the ignition. I do not know what happened there. I unplugged the signal wire and then plugged the signal wire back in, and now it's working. So I don't know, that's a little worrying. I don't know if that's gonna happen again. I don't know exactly what caused that, but it did start. Either way, I think it's time for the first test drive. what a beautiful day to get the Syncro back up and running. Oh my god. I forgot how freaking cool this thing is. Alright, I gotta bring it home and make sure everything is 100% under there. It's called the first test drive for a reason. We want to make sure it's good. Man, so it has been, what, like, oh man, it's almost 3 weeks since I last drove the Syncro, since it blew up at Syncro Fest, and I honestly kind of forgot how absolutely ridiculous this thing is to drive. Not only is it crazy loud with that exhaust, but just being as high up as it is and as big as it is, rumbling down the road, it's so funny to drive, and just the noises it makes, the burbles and the backfires and the it is so freaking awesome and so fun, and is making all the hassle of rebuilding the transmission just a little bit more worth it. Actually, 18 days from it blowing up to it being running again is not bad at all, actually. I also know, or at least I'm coming to the conclusion, that it's not very common to put an exhaust on these or to have these sound any sort of way besides quiet. At Syncro Fest, mine was the loudest by far. It seemed that like having your Syncro quiet or whatever was kind of like a thing. I'm not about that. That's not my thing at all. I think if you have a car that can sound this good, you might as well have it sound that good. Life's too short to drive boring cars that don't sound good. But yeah, that's one of the beauties of me having my own van and me building it to the way that I want it, which is beautiful and amazing, and the van is running, ready for me to finally put an interior in it. I will be working on that for the next couple of weeks, just grinding it out, probably burning myself out working from when I wake up to when I go to bed for probably the next 3 to 4 weeks, getting the interior of this thing done, so I stay back on schedule and continue with the rest of the things that I'm gonna be doing for this year that are gonna be very fun and adventurous and amazing. And hopefully no more huge mechanical problems, but who knows? It's a 40-year-old vehicle. I know what I got myself into. Either way, thank you guys for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.